survived the invasion intact? Every single one. The answer was staring him in the face, written in stone. But here's where it gets interesting, because the solution required Bela to fundamentally reverse the policy that had defined Hungarian royal power for centuries. He made an announcement that shocked the nobility. Anyone who could afford to build a stone castle not only had permission to do so, but was actively encouraged. He wrote to bishops, barons, and even wealthy towns. Build castles. Build them everywhere. Build them strong. He didn't care anymore if it meant some noble might have a fortress to defy the king from. He cared about one thing: making sure Hungary never burned again. Think about what this meant. Bela was deliberately weakening his own central authority, empowering the exact people who might challenge him, all for the sake of national survival. How many rulers in history would make that choice? Most kings hoard power until the kingdom collapses. Bela gave it away to save what he could. The nobles, for their part, recognized what this meant. They'd lost children at Mohi, watched their estates burn, and buried their friends in mass graves. When the king said, "Build castles," they built castles. Meanwhile, letters kept arriving from the Golden Horde. Batu Khan demanded submission. His successor, Berki Khan, sent ultimatums. Surrender a quarter of your army for our planned invasion of Europe, or we return to finish you. Bela's response was always the same: silence. But that silence wasn't empty. It was filled with the sound of stonemasons' hammers, the scrape of mortar, the thud of massive blocks being set in place. Bela had 40 years before the Mongols returned. The question was whether it would be enough. The transformation of Hungary between 1241 and 1285 is one of history's most dramatic military buildups, and yet most people have never heard of it. Let me paint you a picture of what Bela accomplished. In 1241, Hungary possessed exactly 10 stone castles, most of them along the western border with Austria. By 1285, that number had exploded to nearly 100 fortresses scattered across the kingdom, with particular concentration along the Danube River, mountain passes, and major invasion routes. These weren't ceremonial structures or prestige projects. Every single castle was built with the Mongols specifically in mind. Thick walls designed to resist siege engines, arrow slits positioned for overlapping fields of fire, multiple defensive layers so that even if attackers breached the outer wall, they'd face another fortification behind it, murder holes and gateways to pour burning oil on anyone foolish enough to enter. These fortresses were built by people who had seen what happened when you didn't have walls, and they weren't taking any chances. But Bela didn't stop with a stone. He revolutionized Hungary's entire military system through a series of bold reforms. In 1248, he issued a decree that middle-class landowners could achieve noble status if they showed up to war properly equipped with armor and weapons. This created a new class of military service aristocracy whose social status literally depended on their combat readiness. He made nobles legally responsible for equipping the men on their estates. If your peasants showed up to war without proper gear, you faced royal punishment. The king also looked at what had actually worked during the disaster at Mohi. The Knights, Templar, with their heavy armor and close-quarters combat training, had performed better than anyone else before being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. So Bela expanded Hungary's heavy cavalry force dramatically, bringing in military advisors from the west to train a new generation of armored knights. In 1259, he contacted Venice to hire 1,000 professional crossbowmen. Crossbows had proven devastatingly effective against Mongol light cavalry, and Bela wanted that capability in permanent reserve. Perhaps most importantly, he completely changed Hungarian military doctrine. The old way of thinking was to mass your entire army in one place and meet the enemy in a decisive field battle. That's what they'd done at Mohi, and it had resulted in total annihilation. The new doctrine was almost the opposite. Avoid open field engagements, use the terrain, make every castle a strong point, force the enemy to siege their way through the entire kingdom. Let them come to you, make them fight on your terms, behind your walls, in terrain you know better than they do. The kingdom also worked on demographic recovery. Bela offered conditional nobility to settlers from Germany, Slovakia, and Romania, willing to relocate to Hungary and serve in the army. The deal was simple. You get land and a title if you show up armored and ready to fight when called. It was an audacious program of military immigration, and it worked. By the 1280s, Hungary's population had recovered, and then some. When Bela died in 1270, his grandson Ladislaus IV inherited not just a kingdom, but a fortress. An entirely new generation had grown up hearing their grandparents' horror stories about the Mongols. Where their ancestors had fled, these young Hungarians were ready to fight. They'd been raised in the shadow of stone walls, trained in the new military system, and told their entire lives that the Mongols